What's up, everybody? Welcome to TeslaFix. Today is another special episode, like I always introduce, because the Robotaxi event was out of this world. We've seen many nice things. For example, the Cyber Cab, the Robovin, and also many Tesla bots running around this event. I want to look into this from a very nuanced and very based perspective, because Wall Street reacted negatively. But why did Wall Street react negatively? Why are some people not so content with it? Is there something, or am I overlooking something? Because for me, it's hard to be just scientifical. I always hype up a lot of things. That's why we have a special person here to really look into this, because I respect his well-based perspective on this.
Welcome to TeslaFix. Make sure to subscribe and like this episode.
Brian is here again. So
I'm here again.
Yes.
I'm here again.
Brian, I really respect your opinion on many things. I think when you attend the event or are at an event and see this, you're very hyped. Also, for me, watching it from the outside, I was amazed by it. But of course, the predictions that I had, for example, to have a pre-orderable car, a robo van that could be usable on the streets, because I think we're still not there in the sense that the robo van is not around the corner. I get why they did it, but I was very hyped about everything. So that's why I need a little bit of scientific method here to guide me through this. Yeah.
Sure. And that's what I do. I'm not an influencer. I am sometimes mistaken for one. I've been to events where every speaker gets a badge that says influencer, but I am not an influencer. This face does not sell vacations and lifestyle choices. And I've been asked, what is the difference between an influencer and an analyst? And the difference is an analyst starts with a question and an influencer starts with an answer. If you are a travel influencer and you're going to hype up a vacation destination, you're going to overlook if there's a mouse in the kitchen or a roach in the bedroom. You're going to overlook that stuff and focus on the swimming pool. And where an actual analyst would go in and say, here's the good, here's the bad. And if someone is only able to see only the good or only the bad, that to me is a very big red flag, because at what point are they telling the truth all the time? Some of that I need to know what the truth is and the reality is all the time. So that's what I do.
Yeah, but so for me, it's like this, that when I see an event like this, I'm very hyped because I see the vision and I have a very creative mind, so my head just starts spinning and I'm seeing everything laid out. But then I jump to conclusions very fast. That's what I do.
That's okay, as long as you've got the firm understanding of what's underneath it all. From there, it's okay to dream. You just without that foundation, you're
but it's important to separate it. I think that's what I also always struggle on my channel too already, and people know this probably from me, that I always like at least notify people when this is just an opinion or a thought or something like this, to really get it more nuanced, than people know what they're dealing with. But sometimes it's too mixed sometimes. But that's why I need people like you on the channel to go through this, because I found the Robotaxi event a massive success because, when you look at what happened, it's just interesting to see these concepts that we've seen. So how was your opinion on seeing this
from the perspective
material and everything?
Yeah, from the perspective of a hardware demo, it was amazing. I think the car looks good. I've dug deep into how it will be manufactured and some of the ways it was designed, and it makes it quite affordable. There's very few things in it that are more expensive than in any other car Tesla's made, and a whole bunch of things that make it cheaper than any car Tesla's ever made. I think it looks good. We know from having experienced it ourselves that it's going to drive good. It's going to drive smooth and efficiently and all that. And it's got a lot of opportunities that just make sense, both on the front end where it's manufactured and on the back end when it's in use as an actual product. So on that, I love it. Everything about it. I think it works great.
So that was a commercial, but so for me, it was surprising to see that, the way it looked, it was similar to the concept, I would say, but it was still interesting to see that a car without any input devices inside and that could ride around. And like you said before, the difference between Tesla here and other companies is actually that you have FSD already deployed and you can test it in the US already, and I've did, and it was amazing to test it. It was interesting to experiencing just putting a destination into the navigation, and it starts just to drive off. Then, of course, we have the auto park feature, which isn't connected in the same stack. You would still have to jump over to the next. It's not auto parking itself right now, but I've tested 12.4.1, and with that in mind, and then seeing this, I'm totally convinced that this thing could drive around like this. But FSD isn't 100% there still, so there is still developments need to be done that you can really order this one. That's why I think they did not make a pre-order for this.
Absolutely, until it's at 100%, you have to have a wheel. I think you'd asked at the top of the show, why did the stock go down? One reason for that is they were there for an AI demo, and they did not get an AI demo. They got a hardware demo. We know Tesla can make prototypes. We know they can make them in quantities of 20. That's not the crazy part. What I think Wall Street wanted to see was a firm date. And the demonstration they gave was it basically just driving in a loop in a very controlled environment. And we don't know if, in addition to that, there were teleoperators. Tesla cannot operate with teleoperators. If you have FSD on your car, you paid somewhere between $6,000 and $15,000 for it. If you were to hire teleoperators, it would cost that much per year just to keep the teleoperators in control of your car. So that is a losing proposition. They cannot do that. That is not how you do it. That is why Waymo bleeds cash the way they do while charging as much as Uber or Lyft without a driver, in theory. So there's the AI portion of it was not demonstrated, and I know, and so, and I've seen a lot of hype people saying, yeah, but this is a good thing. Well, the market disagrees. And I have to step back and look at what the market is seeing without the firm dates, without an actual and these are in production, and, and we'll go out of the Warner Brothers lot and drive around in the city anywhere you tell it to go. That would be, that if that demo had happened, the stock would have popped. If they had, instead of 20, if they had 50 or 100, and you could take them out off the lot, that would have been a real demonstration of AI that I think people would have understood and recognized in a financial way.
Yeah, so you're also not sure if the cars were teleoperated or not, but
I don't think they were, because what they were doing was so marginally different, almost identical to what they can already do anyway. So, yeah. This
one is a drive of Sawyer Merritt that went into the cab, and so it's interesting to see that it has no steering wheel there, nothing there. I also think that this could be just FSD, like with the directions, and a special version maybe that is very constrained, that just doesn't
mildly reskinned.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see how this unfolds. But I mean, there could be teleoperation, there couldn't, maybe not, but teleoperation itself makes sense to have as a feature in those things anyway, in the sense that if they are stuck, that you can take over. And so this one is just a drive. But I found it very interesting to hear your perspective on this, because
just to clarify, I don't mean there's someone sitting with a little wheel somewhere remotely. I mean tele-intervention, where if it were to get stuck, they could just nudge it. But that is still teleoperation. We don't know for sure that there was or wasn't. We know with the bots there was teleoperation. We just don't know to what extent.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get your point. It's you have to look at it very nuanced. For me, at least, it's like, I know the capabilities of FSD, so this is for me a no-brainer that this will get solved. That's why
absolutely.
Just a question when. I mean, you also have this opinion, but I get
Absolutely.
why. Yeah.
And Wall Street wants the answer to be now, today, this quarter, next quarter. That's what they're focused on. They famously are short-sighted. They cannot look they almost never look past a few quarters out. And a lot of companies recognize this and make very foolish decisions based on it. You look at someone like GM, who keeps getting more and more money to build out the future and using the money instead to repurchase their own shares to boost up the share price. That's terrible, man. That's not how you want to do it. That's a way to, that's a good way to get a short-term high and a long-term crash. But that's just what the market rewards. So I'm not saying that the vision is wrong. I'm saying it's not that what we saw was not what Wall Street came for.
Yeah, I also had different expectations in the sense that pre-orders, for example, I wanted to see a product launch kind of that we say, oh, look, here's the robo van, but you can also get one with a steering wheel. I wasn't expecting that it was so futuristic, that it was going so much into the future in that sense. I think it's interesting to now get into the notion of prototypes versus production capable vehicles. And I know that Tesla is on a different level with a prototype because, of course, they have a test line already set up, which is a difference with auto manufacturers. Most of the time don't have the production in mind for a showcase of a car or a vision. So they have those prototype, or not prototype vehicles, but those, how you called, concept cars that just, maybe
that are made in a
drivable.
lab. Instead of an actual manufacturing facility. I don't know that they do have a line set up. It would be, to me, quite premature if they're not going to be building them for 2 years to actually have the line. That'd be a lot of capital to tie up.
Yeah.
And I think they would have made a lot more than 20, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, maybe they have a test line to test the unbox process and they maybe will implement this process first in different kinds of vehicles. They now showed us the Robotaxi, but maybe they will surprise us with a product launch at some point where you have the small car for Europe that's based on the Robotaxi that they can sell already. I think maybe they even showed or didn't show or weren't so bold with their with ordering this thing because you couldn't pre-order the Robotaxi. But they talked about this is a thing that they want to do, that they will sell you the Robotaxi, that you can do the Robotaxi rides and be a fleet operator maybe. And they talked about this too. So what's your opinion on that? That we might get something maybe down the line based on the test line?
It's unclear. What I'd be, obviously I'd seen a lot of people say, well, they're going to keep everyone they make. They're going to never sell a single one. And I said, the expansion plan is sufficiently aggressive that the 30 billion they have on hand would not be enough to do it. They would need outside partners, and it just makes sense to share the risk, share the reward in that case, and then maybe grow in the future. Also, you don't want to be a monopoly. The last thing you want to do is paint yourself into a position that's going to legally require you to be broken up. Let's not do that. No. We'll revisit it when the time comes. And in terms of prototypes, there were a lot of prototype things on the car that I don't expect to see on the final version. Those wheels are very large. The tires are very thin. That's not going to make it. Those are expensive. They're inefficient. They're prone to damage on potholes, and they look fantastic. That's why we don't need them. It doesn't need to look super cool for that. This is for the influencers to get their cool pictures. Hey, you know what? Let's even paint an extra inch of gold onto the rubber to be silly. Why not? Go for it. That's probably the reason the event was delayed for 2 months, is because Elon wanted to go out and paint the wheels himself. I kid on that one, of course.
I don't know if you can see that on the corner. You see that it's painted. Not the best shot to showcase this.
Yeah, but all right.
Here, you can see that those are painted wheels. This is a wheel cover, but we have different iterations of this too. Somebody painted something over it in white. This could look very awesome, I think.
I think it looks great. But, painting your tire is a little silly.
Sure.
So then a question I would have for you is, Why do you think the Robovan, Elon, no one's going to call it that. Why do you think the Robovan didn't make a splash? Why do you think people why do you think people, why do you think people outside the event didn't react to it, weren't impressed? Do you have a theory? Because I do.
I think because it's so, how do you say it? If it's very special, this vehicle, it's very different, let's just say. And I'm not sure, this looks like a concept that's way ahead. I think we will have like maybe 1 or 2 iterations in between steps before this happens. I think it will take some time,
but
because
also,
it's that's my theory. It's too unconventional to be driving around kind of in city streets. I don't know if they can get approval, not in that stage anyway. So no seatbelts, nothing. So a lot needs to be done first.
Yeah, well, party buses don't have seatbelts either. I don't think the approval is the hard part.
True.
If getting rid of the driver is already covered, it would work. I think it's because it's too futuristic to some and not futuristic enough to others. I've shared my screen here. Could you pull this up?
Yeah, okay.
This is, I just typed in self-driving concept van, and you can see vans like this are nothing new. These have been showed off at all kinds of shows for 10, 15 years, where, and even the Zoox car looks, well, Bright Drop's considering that, but that looks like a lot like a Zoox mobile. But there's a lot of these that look like that. And for that matter, even Westworld looks a lot like that. This is the car from, well, that's even smaller, but this is the people mover from Westworld. And so, and then of course this is right in there with it. So these are they're not that radical of ideas.
Yeah. I get it. I get the point. And I wanted to share this again here to go through it here, the pictures. For me, I see it that Tesla is the only company right now that is able to get something like this on the street in that sense. I can see that. Of course, autonomous buses are already driving around in China, for example, also Norway. So they're like, it's not new, but it's also
not crazy.
But it's still on a fixed route. They can't get out of their way. Of course, it's not the same. But I think that Tesla will be the only company with FSD solved to get this thing out and about. If I don't know how high the wheels will be, this looks like it can only drive in perfect conditions. So no potholes, nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say the boring tunnel? Because that's perfect for the boring tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and really, the Robotaxi generally is perfect for the boring tunnel. It's having gone to CES last year, where the Teslas were operating in the tunnels. It was very unusual for more than 2 people to ride in one at any given time. So having those, and then the Robo van for something like trips from the airport or from the arena, the stadium, where higher capacity is critical. There you go, done. So, I think they wanted a little bit more.
Yep.
So does that mean it's time to talk about the robots?
No, not now.
Yet. Not yet. I'm excited though.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to share this one because I think this highlights the point too. This is from iRobot.
Look at that. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? And did you see the
sliding doors and stuff? Yeah, but they didn't have 20 of those, but this thing was a drivable thing. And I'm going to skip through this. Yeah, you can see here, this is the concept from iRobot. Actually, this thing drove around. And yeah, this was also drivable to some degree. It wasn't autonomous like Tesla showcased, but yeah, what's your opinion on this?
Well, funny you should bring up iRobot. I just pulled up the Robo van from iRobot on mine.
Yeah.
And that is also very familiar. But
also on purpose, I think, because this deploys the bots, of course. And we also have this picture, and this is also like not bot deployment here, but that's the idea that the Optimus just walks out as a service vehicle, that we see something like this.
Yeah.
I think this makes sense, but
I think it's a beautiful design. Not that one. I think the Tesla one is a beautiful design, and I think that both of them are going to be. It doesn't have to look like this. It can look kind of like that, but I just think it's very cool and futuristic. And Elon has said the future should look like the future, and I feel that. And another person had said that if you look at the first stealth fighter, it was a clunky, chunky mess. And if you look at the second stealth fighter, it's much more refined. And if you look at the Cybertruck, clunky, chunky mess, and the Cybercab, similar aesthetic, very refined. And I think that's what we're looking at there. So, I don't know. It's...
it's I mean, I get the point that Wall Street interprets this as, okay, that's a concept car driving around. We have seen those. And of course, in car shows, we've seen concept cars. You've pulled up some stuff from other shows where you have even autonomous self-driving concepts that even drove around in a lot. We also had that in Germany in the IAA a couple of years ago, or every year almost some autonomous concept was driving around there. But I think it's not enough. But still, again, FSD is behind this. We have this backed up by something, so that's different. That's the difference, and for me, that's why that's enough. Because for me, it's like a clear path of autonomy already lined up there. But now I want to talk about, of course, the robot, and this makes a lot of noise as well. Because was it teleoperated or not? This is a huge discussion, of course. As we could tell from also the interviews or people interviewed the Tesla, they were, and even Tesla workers operating those confirmed it inside of the robot through speech. It was interesting to see a concept like this live on a show that you could go near the robots. What's your opinion on the Tesla bots deployment there?
When the show ended and we were in the live stream and the cowboy was the bartender, I said, "Oh no, that's another guy in a suit." And you guys pointed out to me, look at his wrists. Yeah. That's not a guy in a suit, unless Elon's hiring double amputees. The movement is, it's so good. It's so fluid. It's so organic. As a hardware demo, I don't know what the analysts want. I know the Wall Street, I know the Wall Street, the stock guys don't have an understanding. They lean on their experts, their team of people. And I don't know what they're looking for. To me, this is as good as anything out there. It is as smooth. It is as, you might find somebody who's a little better at one aspect or another, but these are, from a hardware perspective, fantastic. I don't know how many of the tasks are predetermined. I would assume all of them. I saw someone on X saying, "Oh, no, this was a great demo because these guys the robots had no idea what the tasks that they would be assigned would be." Yes, they do. 100% they do. It's predictable. When I did comedy writing and I wrote extremely elaborate hoaxes for companies that didn't exist, I would do radio interviews. And in order to be ready for a radio interview as the CEO of a company that does not exist on a morning shock jock show, I had to guess what all of the questions would be. And every single time I was able to guess all of the questions. And the questions are the same every time. Uba Butler, who did the very funny The Shed hoax a few years back, went out doing TV and radio interviews, and the questions were the same every time. So much so that his second prank was he hired body doubles to go out and do interviews for him so that he could do more interviews. And as long as they had the bleached blonde hair, no one could tell. You're going to pour drinks. You're going to wave. You're going to do very silly little easy things. The number of commands that you're going to be asked to do is very limited and very predictable. A bartender, how many how many commands are there? So that part, I don't think that the AI portion of the demo was really there. I think that it didn't show off what is possible. And the people out there saying, no, but it was teleoperated and teleoperation is a good demo are influencers. They're not analysts. Analysts are not saying that because that's incorrect.
I think for me, it always depends on the lens that you want to look into this. And obviously, Tesla wanted to show off AI capabilities or a vision of the future kind of with this. And
yes,
they did in some sense. So the robots walking out, I think, were walking out freely because they have the capabilities of navigating themselves to the destination. So this one is working, like the software stacks below it. So we also saw the dancing robots and also some movements they did. Some, how do you say in
scripted?
Some
predetermined.
Predetermined stuff that already was done here. For example, these dances were seen before. Some things were
right.
expanded here, but the way they moved, there were some idle states that the bots still also have, like with the arm movements and looking at the arm, just like in the Robotaxi, Tesla bot unveil video, the Generation 2 video. So there are some things that are pre-programmed, of course, just like this is a dance routine they have programmed in. So it was a hybrid of teleoperation and demo modes, and probably the walking was the AI capability. So we need to really separate those, that they can navigate through. Yeah.
And the talking was a vision of the future. It wasn't the future. You could tell. Anyone paying attention could tell immediately. For one thing, there was crosstalk. We've seen how ChatGPT and other advanced language, there is no crosstalk. That's not a thing that works successfully. Talking over each other. But this is, it's a fantastic hardware demo, but it's less of a plan and more of a vision board, which is great. You've got to have a vision board to visualize what you want to have in the future. But Wall Street is not going to invest in a vision board in the same way they would an actual concrete plan. If Tesla had said, look, we have partners who are going to take 1,000 of these in the next 6 months, which they may. It would have had more opportunity to move the stock. Because
then it could argue with sales that they're going to sell those things. And I think there is a big use case already, like with teleoperation for these things. If they could make a product out of this with teleoperation kits, kind of to have this at events or showcases, I think it makes a lot of
huge.
It will be like 30K, 40K for a robot like this for marketing purposes. Sign me up. I will order one. I mean, it will, like, I would rent it out like crazy. There is a business for this, of course, because it has this novelty factor so far. And it makes sense to, like, they showcase the movement. For me, it was impressive enough to be hyped about this, but I get the point that people were expecting AI capabilities, and we've seen AI capabilities, but limited ones that we've already seen, and ones that still are impressive. Absolutely. But
I believe that there is a whole bunch beneath the surface that we're not seeing. I believe that Tesla is still doing very well in this. It's tough to know who the leaders are because just like Tesla, a lot of the others don't want to show their cards at this time. But that's why I think the stock dipped, is because they were keeping it a little too close to the too guarded. They were being too guarded is what the problem was. And that's kind of what you need. I'm disappointed that we didn't see the business case for the Robotaxi. I wanted them to say, here's the manufacturing changes we've made. Here's the battery and motor. Here's why that makes sense. I wanted some of that wonky stuff. And we didn't get it. And the same with the bot. Here's some numbers that mean something to someone. Here, it was this many operations, and now it's that whatever. I wanted some of that, and what we got was a pretty and fun event, attended by mostly people who didn't understand it. It was interesting, though. Who was it? Top Gear got to talk with Marquez Brownlee, and they said, if you've seen that one, it's wonderful. They said, what did you think of it? And he said, it's a lot of hype. It's a lot of hype, but I'm not seeing the details. I'm not seeing anything that I didn't know existed before I got here. And that is the reality. And
maybe
the fact,
I just have to jump in here because I think companies or car companies, the way Tesla presented now was similar in the sense, not the products, not the things they showed, because this thing is still out of this world in the sense that nobody has this density of different core technologies at one place, kind of. So I think it's still very impressive. But what I mean is the secrecy that they don't share the details right now. Maybe they shift strategies. I don't know if they will have an event, a nerdy event where we can deep dive into everything. And maybe that's the way to do it now, not to share details so they don't, how do you say, have letdowns in expectations, letdowns in timelines, maybe. Maybe they are now shifting to the corporations that did it in the past all the time. Do you think Mercedes will share anything that is just gives them slightly just a thing where they can be attacked vector? Yeah. No, for example, they won't do it.
No,
it's
they
just
won't. They won't. But
and
the problem becomes
selected the tests for their drive pilot.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, no, it's not nobody can openly test this thing. It's not as easy as that.
I thought you could just buy it though.
Well, yeah, I've never seen anything out of
I've never seen a consumer. The other thing with Drive Pilot that is hilarious to me is that the amount that it costs is probably equal to the amount of the insurance that they pay to operate it. So and the use case, as you know, is so breathtakingly narrow as to be unusable.
Wait, is the sun? Oh God, what is this? What is this? My eyes, I have to disengage.
Oh, well, now it's dark.
Oh no!
Yeah, I need daylight, but not direct daylight. Come on now.
Come on, don't overdo it.
Yeah, it's Karen Pilot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think the problem that Tesla has is that they say is people speculate, and then Tesla says, no, that's completely wrong, and we say, great, what's real? And they say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So. I don't know. I don't know what they want, but here's what we get. And they don't get to act mad that Wall Street didn't understand their vision. Wall Street doesn't care about vision. They care about execution.
Yeah, that's why we need still to rely on Stern for his crazy calculations about the Robotaxi and the Robotaxi business. I hope that they will bring something out soon, but I think it's interesting what Tesla showcased. I wanted to show now what the bot actually said, or the person behind really said about Teleoperation, because that's understandable at this point if somebody from the company said something.
Hey Optimus, how much of you is AI?
I can't disclose just how much. That's something you'll have to find out later.
But some or none?
I would say it might be some. I'm not going to confirm, but it might be some.
Well, that was a non-answer, but there was an answer.
That's exasperating, is what that is.
Yeah. I don't know your name.
Oh, okay.
It's Scott.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Good database lookup.
Optimus, do you know my name? I don't know your name, sir. That's okay. What's your name? Joel. I'm sorry? Joel.
That's very human-like, huh?
Yeah. Joel. All right, Joel.
Yeah, you just come this way.
Are you being controlled by a human? So today I'm being controlled by a human. I am not fully autonomous yet. Okay. Got it. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So stop here because they're just Yeah. So yeah, they confirmed it that they are teleoperated at some point. Of course, I mean you could see, but still, it's interesting how the actuators react. That the movements are so human-like that you thought this was a person in a costume at first, the bartender, and. I mean, it's good. It's awesome. But also we have Figure, for example, and Figure also does impressive AI stuff with interaction. And I would love to see like Grok integration, but I think they are not so far right now to have it integrated like this. This one was a big one for me. Yeah,
They'll get there.
Overall, I think the pathway is there, and the event showed that there is something. But of course, Wall Street wanted to see hard facts and something to work with. Show us numbers. Show us the production rate or the possibility how it could be rolled out or everything or the roadmap at least or something like this. But of course, we didn't see that. But for me personally, I think it was a successful event in the sense that it showed a vision, and that's also important for the future. But it will take time and it will delay. And if they would have showcased, for example, the Model Y Juniper or something like this, then Wall Street probably would be happy because it's a new product launch. The Model 3 also was revamped, and it revamped the sales of the Model 3, I would say.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Why was this event held?
Yeah.
Why 1010? Why at all? Why not in 6 months? Why not when we have the Grok integration? Why not when the cars can leave the lot? Why today?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Thank you. If anyone in the comments knows, we would both appreciate an answer, because that's one I can't wrap my head around. They're angry because people are not, Tesla's not angry. A number of Tesla fans on social media are angry because how dare people not get it? And I say, well, there's parts I don't get too. And I'd like to, I mean, what are we doing here, guys? So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad they did it, but you didn't have something to sell. It's like me taking out a billboard that says, Brian's a pretty cool dude. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense for the vision to lay it out. I think it's enough for showcasing. That's my opinion there, because it showcases the connection of everything. Because if they wanted to show that, listen, guys, we're working on robots, autonomous vehicles, and this, but you know what I mean? And we have this vision of the future, and this will be deployed. You will see, here's a vision of that, very clear, kind of. You've interacted with bots. This will work in the future too. It should get maybe people excited about the idea or to see Tesla in a different light. But autonomy is a very important point here. We know that the Robotaxi could drive themselves there. No questions asked. I don't know if they're teleoperated or not, but I think they are capable of doing that. But on their own with FSD. But the Tesla bot wasn't AI so far. I get it. That's a problem. That's a bummer, at least, to say it bluntly. And we don't know if the robo van was autonomous or not. I assume even that this one was really just like remote controlled. Yeah.
I assume that the van was remote controlled. It wouldn't make sense to get it all the way dialed in. But hear me out. Hear me out on this one. Just at Tesla's own factories, they have need for this on campus to move, because there are buses that go around Giga Texas all day. I found your test bed. Test them there. You could actually use them in real application every day. And then, of course, the boring tunnel, if you wished to do so, and others. There are other places you could use it. I think, the future's bright. It's just not today. If SpaceX was publicly traded, we would have seen the stock pop today, because Launch 5 was a demonstration. The dots from A to B from here are obvious. But Robotaxi, they're not even building the factory yet, because until FSD is solved, and I mean solved, all you'd be doing is wasting money. And a quick note on teleoperation: if you're going to spend $6,000 to $15,000 to purchase FSD, it means that you can't afford teleoperators on top of that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Brian, for doing this deep dive. I wanted to talk about the batteries also and stuff like this, but the technical perspective. But we have a great video of Brian already explaining it, so please check out his channel for that. I hope to get the limiting factor on for this. I think that would make a lot of sense for the battery capacity of that. But well, let's see.
We'll see.
But
yeah.
So thank you very much, Brian, for being on and also doing like a baseline and a very down-to-earth view on this, because I was hyped. I'm still hyped. It's awesome, the event. And I also like that they displayed the future, but it is not that what I've expected even. And I would have expected a little bit more too. Now, getting down from the whole hype. I kind of feel
I'm not here to kill your buzz. A gentleman said, well, why are you so down on it? That's why the stock. I said, I didn't sell a single share. I don't know what to tell you. It's not me. So, yeah. And I will sell my shares as soon as I believe the company is no longer in growth mode and has no more upside. The price to earnings ratio is already very high for what we're looking at for today's production. Tomorrow's production will be different. I have absolute confidence. I can see a whole lot of dollar signs on the horizon. I'm just not sure how long the path to getting there is.
Yeah, true. And I also see that everything is laid out kind of, and they just need to follow through, and just need to follow through can mean a lot of work because, of course, Tesla bot is capable of moving human-like. Now it needs to be trained to behave and walk and talk and act as a human and do chores, for example, but they are on it. It will take a long time, maybe 5 years for that, or more, even like 7 years could take. Whatever it takes, this future that they painted, I think will be achieved at some point, but not in 2 years with the whole vision, with the robot and everything integrated. That's my opinion there. But it's exciting still because everything comes together now. Also with Starlink, the Starlink Mini, we could have a Starlink in the car at some point. It's just a matter of just timing. It's just time. So let's just wait it out on our channels. How about that? So thank you very much, Brian, for being on. If you haven't heard of Brian, please follow him, of course, obviously, and check out his channel. But of course, you are all from his channel here. So thank you very much, Brian fans that are here also. So, Brian, there's only one last thing to say to the audience, and that's goodbye, everybody.